Hello again everyone, so Blizzard has posted some more balance updates for the PTR, and last week I talked about these changes here, but there are some more now. So I've already talked about these in my previous video, you might want to watch that. So these nerfs are not live yet, they are going to be applied when 11.05 hits, which is the anniversary patch. Happy anniversary. But let's move on. So these are the changes that they've posted, right? So Colossus single target is going to be increased via this buff to arterial bleed. It's going to increase our bleed damage by 3% per stack instead of 2%. Quite a significant buff to Colossus, but they are still behind Slayer. No Stranger to Pain is being buffed as well. Ignore Pain is going to be buffed a little bit more by this hero talent, but I think the problem with Ignore Pain for arms in general is that Ignore Pain's absorb is just very weak compared to what it used to be. So maybe buff up Ignore Pain baseline for arms so that we don't just always play fueled by violence. That would be nice. Anyway, they are nerfing Slayer for both arms and Fury. I don't understand how arms just keeps catching strays, because I feel like these nerfs are targeted for Fury. So Overwhelmed is a debuff that makes it so that whenever you Reap the Storm proc, so this thing here, whenever you Bloodthirst, you get like a mini spin Blade Storm and apply Overwhelmed, and also Blade Storm applies Overwhelmed. So basically, as long as we were Blade Storming or pressing Bloodthirst on cooldown, we'd always have 12% more damage on all targets that are debuffed by it. But now it's being nerfed to 10%. That's pretty significant. That's basically a 2% damage nerf on everything. And they're also nerfing Culling Cyclone, so that's this talent here. I feel like they are just trying to nerf Fury's damage potential, burst damage potential. But Arms just keeps catching nerfs because of this. So, Arms Warrior enjoyers? Sorry. I think I think this is happening because of Fury. And again, Opportunist, they're going to nerf this down to 25%. It was 30%, and that's going to affect Overpower and Raging Blow. But the most interesting change is this. So they are changing Raging Blow, or they're buffing Raging Blow and Bloodthirst by 25% and 30% respectively. But that change is not going to apply to Reckless Abandon's buffed versions, Crushing Blow and Bloodbath. And they say that the reason for this is currently Reckless Abandon is outperforming Anger Management in all situations, so we're trying to bring them closer in power by bringing up Raging Blow and Bloodthirst's base damage, which also will improve Fury's baseline single target damage. So the numbers are already in. The math has been done, apparently. And the numbers I've got here, it says Arms Slayer loses about 2.3%. Arms Colossus gains 0.9%. That means Arms Slayer is still ahead of Colossus, but the gap has been closed a little bit. Fury Slayer actually loses 0.2%. So Fury's single target was already quite bad on the logs. I talked about this before. I think Fury could really use a single target bump, but this is gonna, well, it's not changing anything basically. 0.2% is basically a non-change. But Anger Management Fury does gain 5%, and it could even overtake Reckless Abandon, which I think is really wrong, because in my ideal world, I think Reckless Abandon should be the raid option and be better on single target. And Anger Management should be the AoE option and be probably better in M+. I would love to be able to just play Reckless Abandon in raid and Anger Management in keys, because Anger Management CDR is something I really enjoy. So, yeah, I don't know what they're trying to do with this. And also, just one more thing. I think they should buff up Rampage a little bit, because Rampage is kind of under-prioritized, I think. I think Rampage should just be a really high priority button, but we're happily overcapping in many situations. So I just don't want Rampage to feel this weak in comparison to our builders, right? So maybe that's something that they can look at when they're looking at buffing single targets. I would definitely enjoy that. But yes, this Reckless Abandon and Anger Management line here, it's a little bit problematic. I do hope that they buff Reckless Abandon up a little bit so that is the better single target option, because otherwise we'll just do a complete 180 and play Anger Management in everything now, as opposed to playing Reckless in everything. So, what would a build look like with Anger Management, you might wonder, on pure single targets? It might be something like this. Both Spear Talents, Berserker's Torment for that recklessness value. We still take Culling Cyclone. All of the recklessness talents plus Anger Management. Yeah, I think it would be interesting to play for a bit, but still. I hope they do something to buff Reckless Abandon up so that it is the better single target option. It doesn't need to be better by a lot, just by a little bit so that we play it in raid. And Fury can definitely afford a single target buff, as you have seen in the logs that I showed before. So yeah, those are my thoughts about this. They're a little bit weird changes, but you can see kind of what they're trying to do. Hopefully they make more changes. So that's it for me today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'll see you next time.